All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Are you enjoying this wonderful, incredible bull market? I hope you are. I've got the legend XO on the stream today. Hello, can we do a sound test, XO?
Hello, Charlie. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all well.
Bonjour. Is XO suitably loud, everybody in the chat, before we start chatting and get like 20 minutes in and then go, oh, can't hear him.
Can't hear
Yeah.
me. Should be able to hear me now.
No, they can. They're saying too quiet. I'm just gonna
Too
double
quiet.
check. Let's try. What about now? Try one more time. Too quiet for XO.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Perfect. Go ahead. Cool. All right. How are you doing,
Perfect.
XO?
Fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, you enjoying these
Can't complain.
wonderful trading conditions?
You know what? The trading conditions have been great, but these last several days or so, just looking at the charts across the board, no, thank you, not for me. Took some time off, several days off. Enjoyed the weekend. Came back to the charts on Monday, and yeah, just thought it's a good time to probably take a few days off. We've got CPI, PCE data coming up. I believe tomorrow,
Yeah.
retail sales and whatnot. Let's just get that out of the way, and that should hopefully give us some direction over the next few weeks. Obviously, I'm not going to go over the various scenarios and permutations of what to look for. I don't have my notes in front of me, unfortunately. Frankly, I couldn't give a shit. I'll come back to the markets tomorrow evening, maybe Thursday, and then pick up from there, depending on what the market gives or presents. So yeah, apart from that, I'm not really doing much else. There's just basically looking at the higher time frame plays and setups here. I did emphasize on the timeline that I believe Q2 is going to be a good time to start scaling into some positional plays on altcoins. With a belief, like I said, loosely held opinion, but with a belief that we will see a far significant improved second half of the year. And the reason I say that is because from all the reports that I track and follow, is potentially a rise or an increase in global and US liquidity, which is generally bullish for the market. So, fairly optimistic heading into the second half of the year, given nothing really breaks down or shit doesn't hit the fan. Then, I am maintaining exposure to the market from that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw you tweet a few bags, the kind of new bags of this cycle. I won't remember all of them. I think like DYM, DIM, Tensor, a couple of
Yeah,
others that have just basically had that kind of downtrend, like launch, go down. And what typically happens, I guess, with a lot of new coins is they kind of have that initial sell off, and then actually Tensor looks like one of the better ones of all of them. I think
it does. Yeah.
W is another one, isn't it?
You can go to, yeah. I've got about 10, if I'm honest with you, that I'm tracking. And the beauty of it is such that if you look at, say, Sui, Arbitrum, look at how they perform, Jup, Jito, they they all did fairly well off their lows, right? But when they initially got listed, they didn't really perform that well. It was very similar to what we actually have now. You get this slow bleed down over many, many months, and eventually price bottoms out. And guess what? You can literally bag some really good 2, 3, 4, 5x plays. You look at Say and Sui, I think some of them pulled like 8, 9, 10x's.
Yeah.
The most recent ones, which I remember trading quite well, was Jupiter and Jito. Jupiter was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Despite
yeah.
despite a lot of people, you know, talking about the pessimism at 50, 60 cents, I think it was in Jupe, but it eventually took off. It did really well. Jita was another one. I think it was at 150, went to $4 or $5. So these moves are fairly quick. So I think from a trading perspective, it's a matter of just being patient and waiting for momentum to kick back in to really latch onto those players that can give you 2, 3, 4, 5x in a matter of months, But unfortunately, where the market is now, I think you've just got to be very intelligent about how you wish to position into these plays, because price isn't a trend down. If you look at Saga, you look at Dimension. W is another one that I'm tracking. It's actually coming to the level that I contemplated buying. So I'm just waiting for tomorrow's data to come out to ascertain whether it's going to be a spot play for me at these levels or whether I'm going to actually just open up another long on futures at some point over the next few days. So I
Yeah,
think overall, it's very easy to say the market looks shit, etc. But really, it's what you want to see as a buyer. I look at Saga again. That's just been relentless on the way down, and the further down it goes, I think the greater the opportunity, and that's really what I want. That's why I want to see. Why do I want to be chasing a coin that's $1 billion market cap when I can potentially look to pick it up at 200-300 million market cap and hope that it goes to 1.52 billion over the next 6 to 9 months, and potentially give you a 4 or 5x return in terms of multiplier. And the good thing is that many of these are listed on your tier one exchanges as well, so liquidity hopefully on the way up shouldn't be an issue, but just as it stands right now, I think you just have to be slightly more patient. Try to identify some sort of bottoming structures, maybe a set of moving averages. Yeah, and just basically, try to figure out when collectively across the board, not just the crypto market, but markets in general, when are they likely to pick up pace heading into the second half of the year?
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I base a lot of my stuff on spaghetti, as you know, and like the correlation of alts with BTC, the amount of them that are basically above like BTC's performance and below, and like the last few days, like yesterday was a bit of an exception with meme coins, but generally, for the last few weeks, it's been pretty goddamn weak, and it's not a surprise, like as Bitcoin has, been sat in this range, getting gradually less volatile, and actually, not being particularly directionally biased in this like last few days, like a few couple of moves up, couple of moves down, but just a lot of chop on like low time frames, like intraday. It's been quite a sort of difficult trading period, and as I guess
It
most
has.
alts over that period have just kind of bled out. Like a few have had like nice moves, but really a lot of them have not done great. So I guess one of the questions that I've got, I guess, is like, when are you gonna jump back in on BTC, or what's gonna make you jump sort of back on the bandwagon to go, right, this is the next leg up of the market overall, like apart from like macro thesis, like what are you going to use as your invalidation and kind of triggers on this? Because at the moment, like, I basically had this like downtrend, to look at market structure, like into range lows. Expected this like little move up and wanted to short here, and now we're just kind of chopping even more. Like for me, there's just nothing here. Like I would much rather be buying like a flip of the mid range and doing something then, as opposed to trying to trade these lows at the moment. Like that's just me, and obviously I'm always I'm always in the altcoin books, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or is it literally just you need to see the macro change, you need to get Wednesday out of the way, you need to then just go, right, well, I'm structurally bullish on a higher time frame perspective, let's wait for a decent setup, because yeah, at the moment, like this is just chop city to me.
It is Chop City. Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it, and for the sake of being transparent. Now, the question you asked is, when are you looking to get back into Bitcoin? It depends, really. So, am I looking to trade Bitcoin on a futures account, or am I looking to pick up spot for continuation higher? If I'm looking to pick up spot, I'm not sure. If I'm honest with you, just looking at what price is doing right now. Secondly, I'm also asking myself, look, if I'm buying Bitcoin at 60,000, let's just assume hypothetically we're targeting 100,000. All right, you're looking at a 1 to 2x move, around about 100% move back up. Are altcoins going to outperform Bitcoin, or select altcoins likely to outperform Bitcoin? Possibly, potentially. I think if there's anything that has surprised me, is whilst Bitcoin has been in this range since March, we saw the highs at 72,000. It's now mid May. I really would have thought that this would be in prime conditions for altcoins to rally, with Bitcoin going sideways. And for whatever reason, it's not quite come to fruition. Whereas if you look back in January 2021 all the way through to May, I think Bitcoin went through a consolidation phase or a distribution range, I should say, between February and May 2021, where altcoins rallied fairly significantly. Obviously, we had a massive deleveraging event come May 2021. But I just think where Bitcoin is, I think, look, at the end of the day, we're still on an uptrend. I still look at the higher time frame moving averages, the 21, the 21 weekly, the 200 daily. They're fairly decent still, in my opinion. You know, so overall, I think as somebody who's looking at the market who believes that we could see fairly encouraging price action heading into the second half of the year. I'm just not rushing into short anything. I'm actually looking at the market thinking, okay, where can I identify some good buying opportunities on altcoins? And like I said, I've given a list of altcoins, well, a vague list of altcoins that I'm already tracking, and just waiting for those to set up. I think what's interesting, Charlie, is narratives.
Hmm.
Meme narratives and AI narratives. Do you think they're likely to continue throughout?
I think this cycle's been incredibly different in the sense of memes have been like core strength and high beta throughout the whole cycle, whereas I think in 2020, 2021, and even the previous cycle, they were kind of seen as it's the retard phase, it's the end of the market when everyone's got too much money and everyone's going for memes. Whereas actually I think in this cycle people learned that the high returns, come from memes. Like if you're starting with $1,000 and you're trying to grow that account, your best way to get a 10, 50, or 100x is probably meme coins, right? So we had that risk on meme market really early, and I think that risk appetite, as long as there is a risk appetite in the market, is kind of always going to be there from now on. I think there's going to be that kind of bipolar tardfi and tradfi, as I called it, which is you've got basically a lot of people in the middle who are quite happy with like a couple of x returns trying to find alts. You've got people who just want to trade Bitcoin, and then you've got people who just want to trade memes. And I think that there's always going to be that kind of polar sentiment these days. So that's the kind of meme side. I think memes are going to be there, and going to retain their beta and stay quite strong. I think
Yeah.
AI as a leg. I think the hype for AI is done. As in the any project that has got AI in the subject is or has pivoted to it. Um, just is an instant 5x. Like I think that part of the cycle is done. I do think there will be some strong AI projects that come out, and I do think that there will be some that outperform. Similar to sort of the gaming narrative in 2020, 2021, the first few that ran did incredibly well, Axes, all that kind of stuff, and then loads of other projects pivoted to, we're a gaming company now, great, and they managed to catch some of that hype, and then now like very few gaming projects actually perform particularly well. I think AI will be the same, but I do think that it's a sector that shouldn't be ignored, and it's definitely not done. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as it was. How about you?
Yeah, I think when I think about concentrated bets, I think AI coins for sure. I think RWAs as well. Maybe they catch a bid again at some point later in the year. Um, I'm not awfully sold on the whole DeFi narrative. It's not really a sector that I'm giving too much credence to. If it picks up, great. I'll put it back on my radar. But until then, I'm not really observing it too much.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it very simple. I'm looking to play the new shiny toys that have come out on tier one exchanges. Layer one, layer two blockchain projects, and hopefully ones that can pull a 5x, 10x, maybe. Uh, may sound like a broken record, but if you look at Say and Sue and what they did, I'm looking for something similar because you don't need a huge ton of volume to flow in. Just concentrated bets where the L1 narrative picks up again, or parallelization picks up again as a narrative, or whatever it is, and just try to ride that momentum back up again. So that's kind of how I'm playing, or what I'm looking to play. But again, like I said, I'm happy to adapt. I think in this market, it's very, very fast paced. The volatility is going to be great, especially on altcoins, where if you look at altcoins, fairly relentless in the moves up from October, November to the highs in March. And then before you know it, it's 6 8 weeks later, altcoins have retraced 60, 70, 80%, especially those that are in the range between 100 million market cap to say 1 billion at the top end. Anything in between that range, you find that liquidity is quite thin on the downside. And so, therefore, the retracements are going to be fairly steep. And the one word of advice or caution I would give um, is to take profit on the way up. Seriously, you'll never time the top, but to continuously keep paying yourself as price keeps going high, because there's nothing worse than trying to exit a market where there's no bid on the way down, because you're waiting for that bounce. Sometimes the bounce never happens, and then price breaks down even further. Before you know it, you're 40, 50, 60% in drawdown. Whereas literally 3 4 weeks ago, you were celebrating all-time highs. And that's just, people don't like to hear that, but that is the harsh reality of the markets, especially in altcoins. And I think the fact that we are just going to see an absolute enormous amount of number of alts hitting the markets over the next 6 months. It's I just don't think there's enough liquidity going around to send it all at once. So in one respect, that's fantastic as a trader, because it means that you can see many rotations from one sector to the next. But if you're somebody who's spread quite, across the board, it's probably going to be painful. Some altcoins pop off, other altcoins are bleeding down. You know, really, I don't know how one would play that. I think it makes far more sense to play strength in these market conditions. But that's just me. I'm primarily a trader. I want to play momentum. I want to play strength. If somebody is out there who's looking to just spot and hold, then maybe they're better off just picking one from each sector. A couple of memes, couple of RWAs, couple of AI players, maybe a couple of new exchange listing players, and just hope for the best, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like if you're a trader, then intraday or yeah, if you're like an intraday trader and you want to play like low time frame rotations, then the volatility between memes, social fi AI, all that kind of stuff, like you can see it on these charts, like just how wild it goes. Like we had like Oracle selling off massively because TRB, the big scam coin, like pumped massively the other day. I caught a nice wedge of that, but obviously it like flew down afterwards. So nice rotation, but you wouldn't be sticking your entire like spot portfolio in an Oracle's basket, or at least I wouldn't be. Memes again having a great couple of days, or great day yesterday, and kind of going for it again earlier today. But like now everything's just selling off a bit. We're starting to recover and stuff. Like there's quite a decent amount of vol on a low time frame basis if you do want to sit and actively trade. But I don't know. I haven't got any like massive high conviction bets where I'm like, do you know what? I want to take a chunk of my fiat and I want to chunk that into crypto and be like, right, this is going to be the next big thing. To be honest with you, Friendtech was one of the only things that if they'd actually done a token for it initially and not done the kind of whole farm thing and ref invites and all that kind of stuff and like built it up and then launched a token like a year later, I think that was one of the only things where I would have actually allocated, a significant amount of capital back into crypto to basically bet on SocialFi. But I think they did it horribly because that's one of the areas that hasn't, I don't think, been kind of fully explored.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's bits like Friendtech, but I don't think Friendtech was particularly good. I don't think it was good in terms of the service it offered. I don't think it was good in terms of the user experience. I think there could have been made a lot more out of it for whatever launched at 100 million, 200 million, 500 million projects. I actually
Yeah.
remember the market cap, but you know, people monetizing their services more efficiently, and then people being able to trade access to those services. So once you're kind of done with it, you can pass it on essentially and either get your money back or get more back if it's actually good and appreciated. I think that's great. But
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. It's funny you say monetize their service, but basically what you're trying to say is hiding under the premise of actually being a paid group, right? Without
yeah,
explicitly admitting it while shitting on other paid groups. But hey, you know what? I'll just run a paid group on French Tech as well, and
yeah.
I'm doing it because everybody else is doing it, so nobody's going to say anything. But no, look, there's nothing wrong with it. I think if people want to do that, that's great. More power to them. That's nobody's forced to ever buy or sign up to anything. I think the biggest thing I'm looking at, I guess, towards a lot of parts of, well, let's just say Q3, Q4. Look, I don't know what the market's going to do. I'm shit at predicting, so I'm not going to give any predictions. But I will say one thing. I think the next time the market does trend significantly higher or altcoins or meme coins catch a bid, is I certainly will be taking profit on the way up far more aggressively than relying just upon hedging on the way down. So, that's how I'm looking to play the markets over the next 6 months. Is that should we get a bid in Q3, Q4? That's probably going to be, in my opinion, for me, for myself. I'm not financial advice. People can do whatever they want. We may see a bull market all the way into 25, 26. I don't know. But personally, from my own P&L point of view, I'll be looking to take profits in Q3 and Q4 on the way back up. And again, I just have to iterate. What concerns me is just the number of altcoins coming out into the market and how thin liquidity really is. Once that bid stops, liquidity is very, very thin to the downside. And like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in Q3 or Q4 we see another 40-50% down week occur over the coming months. So
Yeah. I mean, it's
it's
kind of always a concern, isn't there, that when you go to sell, there's nothing on the bid side, and like
yeah,
anyone who traded like a CPI news event, and felt the pain of like a low time frame, just minus 10% on your position, just for doing nothing basically,
yeah,
will appreciate that. I think like I'm quite risk off at this point, and I would rather buy higher. That's my attitude of just like I don't want to catch a falling knife, and
mm,
I'd rather pick up off the floor. And the other expression I always like is, um, I'd rather arrive late or arrive later to the right party than turn up early at the wrong one, which like it just summarizes, in my view, like being massively risk on in terms of capital allocation at the moment in these markets because that it is a bit more dull, and I kind of quantified it by if I look at even just my trading, so not my spot, my actual just day to day trading. Did I make more money in this bit or this bit here? Like,
that's it. Yeah, exactly.
anyone guessing? Like,
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious, and it'll be the same with this, right? So there's this, or we'll get expansion at some point, and there'll be this, right? And we'll probably get
yeah,
that move
yeah,
up to 100k. And can you imagine the media, like Friends, if it goes into
yeah,
100k,
yeah,
like it's going further, right? And like this is why I'm always like, well, I'd rather be passive here, and even if you jump on board there, like the chance you getting faked out and it comes back down, fine, absolutely fine. Like take
yeah. You
that
got to take
loss.
losses. You got to take
Yeah,
losses, part of the game.
exactly.
So,
Take that small loss, take that little drawdown there, and chunk it up to, well, I was trying to catch this.
yeah,
And if
yeah,
if it doesn't work, fine. But if it does work and you do catch this and the market does go fully risk on, whether it's here, whether it's further on, whatever, um, you know, that will be worth its weight in gold in terms of just playing that leg instead of aggressively trying to catch the bottom. And that's what I
yeah.
preach all the time.
I agree with you there, Charlie. And I think what people concern themselves with too much, far too much, especially on social media, is who caught the lows, who caught the bid, who
Yeah.
longed it. But nobody really pays attention to who took profit at the right time and how much drawdown did they manage to avoid. That's just as important. It's all well and good nailing the move to the upside, but then when did you really start thinking about taking profit? What's your strategy for taking profit? And that's why I say, like, for me, heading into Q3 and Q4, if altcoins, well, the ones that I'm positioned, if they do take off, and the same with Bitcoin, then what's my exit strategy going to be? Where am I looking to take profit? Where am I looking to reduce exposure? And again, people talk about, oh, XO, how do you hedge? Well, cash is, going back into cash is essentially a hedge because it's still a position at the end of the day. Um, so I think look, the markets are setting up fairly well. I really like some of the retracements that we're seeing on these altcoins. I think we've had a fantastic 6 months, right, from October through to March, and it's only been 2 months that we were in this consolidation phase on Bitcoin and Ethereum, whereas many of the altcoins have retraced back to their lows. I mean, I don't want to give out any tickers on today's stream, but I'll probably cover them on my own stream at some point in the future. But look, there's so many good altcoins out there, or good projects that I believe will catch another bit, and probably will give really good multipliers. The only one thing I'm probably down on is I've just got several meme coins, shit coins, which have literally come back to my entry point, if not lower. And I guess just that's just nature of the game. I'm happy to hold them. They're probably going to go to zero, or they're probably going to go, far higher, breaking past their previous all-time highs. And that's just it. For me, if I look at Pepe coins, which is one that I got into back in November, I think at, believe it or not, a 12 million market cap, $12 million market cap, right? Thanks to Tyler Durden. I think it was Pepe coin USDT, yeah. And yeah, literally got in at what, 10 cents? And I think it went to $7. So, that did a massive round trip at one point. I think it was I got in at 10 cents. It went to $1.20, came all the way back down to 15, 12, 15 cents. Then it really took off to, I think, I don't know, $6, $7, $8. So unfortunately, you haven't got the full data history here. But if you look
Yeah,
at
it's
Dexter's,
still. I mean, it's still mad, isn't
yeah,
it? In terms of like, uh,
exactly. So that's my point. I'm buying in at 10 cents, right? I think that's my average cross buy. It goes to 120. It comes all the way back down to 15 cents. You get a load of shit because, oh, look, XO or whoever showed a shit corner, and then it fucking goes to $7. Like, that literally is a 100x play. Not that
yeah,
I took it all the way there. I think I sold at like 130, 140 on the second time up, thinking, yeah, this is going to be a double top, but I was wrong and it just flew even higher. So just goes to show sometimes it's just a lottery ticket that you're buying on these meme coins. You truly don't know what's going to happen. They're either going to fall off a cliff and go to zero, or they're gonna pull a 20, 30, 40x. So it's just one of them. And like I said, it literally is a lottery ticket. Let's be honest with these meme coin
well,
plays.
memes
So
are memes are like cultural things, aren't they? And they're
they
they're
are, yeah,
basically how much attention can this meme coin get, and how like diamond handed are the people that are buying it, which is,
yeah,
I guess, you could argue for any coin, but because there's no promise of any form of intrinsic value, like through, I don't know, we're revolutionizing social fire, we're doing this, we're
yeah,
creating a layer 17 blockchain. There's nothing like that says, well, this is the value prop. Like, it's all about like conviction of community, which is a big bet, really. And I mean,
it is.
like you, I on an intraday basis, I'll put some decent size buy meme coins, but on a high time frame basis, depending on where they are, actually, if they're quite high
Yeah,
cap, then stuff like Whiff or Pepe or
yeah, it's
Myro or things
pointless.
like that. Well, I'm willing to take bigger bets because they are
Yeah,
decent liquidity, decent market cap, all that kind of stuff.
that's right.
But if you're talking about a 10 million shitter with,
No, no
200,000
chance.
daily volume, then people are like, it's high risk. Why are you talking about it? And then
Yeah,
people
yeah,
say,
it's.
and then
I
people
think.
say, don't what? Or how do I get a million X return? It's like, well,
Yeah, well, I think that's it. It's just one of them things where if you're gonna play meme coins that are low caps, just be ready to enter the position knowing that you could make absolutely zero. You could make a loss as well. So I think that's just the way you've got to play it. Don't obviously bet your whole entire portfolio. It's just for me, it's just look, I'll punt it. I'll take a chance. If it goes brilliant. But moving forward, I think base chain will have a second emergence again of in terms of memes and narratives later in the year. I think that's going to be certainly one area where if I'm going to be playing meme coins again, that's certainly going to be one sector. I've not really played Solana shitcoins, if I'm honest with you, the Solana meme coins. The only Solana meme coins well, the ones I'm holding is Kai, obviously Kittenheimer. I'm still holding that. I think there's a good chance that could go significantly higher. I'm not shilling it by any means. I'm just saying I'm holding it, and it's held up fairly well in consideration to how other meme coins or have
yeah,
performed.
no, I was just
Um,
charting it. I mean, I shilled it at
yeah,
30 cents, I think it was. People shilled it
yeah.
before then, but it goes up to $2. You're a genius. It goes from $2 to $1, and it's like, you're an asshole. So well.
So yeah, I think this is the only cat coin that I'm playing, and I've probably got a couple of dog coins. I'm probably going to long Doge at some point, but I'm
Mm.
holding some. I'm holding Myro. I've been holding Myro for quite
Yeah,
some
yeah.
time. So they're my two kind of like meme-ish plays that I'm looking for, and I'll probably start picking up. I've got about two, three, four other memes, which honestly have gone to shit.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You feel bad because you think, oh fuck, it's gone to shit. And you feel bad for, well, at the time they did quite well actually at the time. So anybody who jumped in at the time would have seen them go 3, 4, 5x up. But with some of these meme coin plays, I just held them. And I've held it all the way back down. And just the way it is, I'm not going to bullshit and say to people, oh yeah, look at me, I exited. If there's anything that I probably could have performed better on, it would have been meme coins. But has it affected me? Has it hurt me? Not really, because my positional size in those plays was sensible. And again, I'm just holding on, thinking like, right, okay, if the market takes off in the second half of the year, they're certainly some of the players that I'm going to be looking to exit, and hopefully significantly higher than the current highs that we've seen. But for me, I think base change certainly has a role to play in Q3, Q4, or I'm hoping it does. If the
Yeah, no,
market remains
same.
bullish, yeah.
I mean,
So I think that,
sorry, go on.
yeah, good. So that's going to be one of my focuses in terms of memes, just to track that space more closely.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, if risk comes back on massively, and if we do get, I don't know, what's your opinion on the whole like retail mania wave and stuff? Do you think we've had it? Do you think retail have been here? Do you think that there is this big retail mania wave that everybody is chirping on about on Twitter?
No, I don't really subscribe to that. I probably would have done several years ago. Or retail's here, but at the end of the day, when you look at markets, what is the main primarily mover of crypto markets? It's liquidity. Crypto is very, very sensitive to liquidity. So you've got global liquidity, you've got US liquidity, and it's just about how much of a stimulus liquidity is in markets. And there's actually a very, very nice correlation between, global liquidity and US liquidity increasing, which seems to have an effect on the crypto markets, the equity market, the Nasdaq market. If you look at markets across the board, equities, SPX, Nasdaq, Nvidia, they've all performed really well. And of course, cryptocurrencies and some of the altcoins have performed well. But collectively across the board, when you look at altcoins, it's been very fragmented. It's just AI coins, meme
Yeah,
coins, Solana chain. If you look at AVAX and all the AVAX coins, they've not really done a great deal. Look at synthetics from a DeFi perspective. Yep, synthetics is the last cycle's one of the major DeFi coins of the previous cycle. Will it have another run again this cycle? I'm not too sure. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I was certainly was hoping that it would have a better run than it currently has. But when you look at this zooming out, it's still in that macro accumulation phase. The question is it ever going to leave this phase? One would like to think that it probably could go back up to $15, $16. So there still are plenty of opportunities out there, and the question is just knowing. Nobody knows, but just paying attention to what's likely to catch a bid. And it's back to your example of what you pointed out on Bitcoin, right? That you look at this chart and you think this is a great chart structurally. When you compare it to some of the other coins that I've run, you will have massively underperformed holding synthetics. And it's a case of, well, do you want to hold a position for the next several months and you're not guaranteed that it's going to break out? Or do you want to trade momentum, wait for bullish confirmation and look to ride momentum higher? And I think that's the way to play the market moving forward. And that's why, again, I look at synthetics and I think, yeah, it's a great chart from a high time frame perspective. But then you look at all the altcoins that are listing or I've just listed recently that haven't caught a bid, that have been aggressively selling off. Maybe they offer a better return on equity to the upside from lower down than perhaps a player like synthetics. So it's just a decision that individuals have to make and what they believe the key narratives will be moving forward. Yeah, I guess just taking each day and each week as it comes and just staying alert really as to what's moving in the markets. It's difficult to predict anything in this space.
yeah, no, that's fair. Um, someone asked, Kay asked the question of sort of how do you get into narratives and positions, and we all hear narratives, but how do you actually kind of position into it? I mean, you go first with what you do, and I'll talk through my process.
I think with narratives it's difficult because given the complexities of the crypto space today compared to say several years ago, there's far many more sectors, there's far many more moving parts. Um, I think the key for me is at this stage right now, identify what's been hot and what will likely continue to be a good narrative. And for me, I look at AI. You know, that's certainly one. I
Yeah,
still think I still think layer one, layer twos will always have a bid at some point. You look at BNB, like that's been
yeah.
phenomenal. Like
BNP is. Someone pointed out
I
the other day. It's almost as if someone who owns
printed a
seventy
shitload
percent
of
of.
FDUSD.
Well, I was thinking someone who owns 70% of the supply has been locked up for a
Yeah.
period of time.
Well, on a 4 year vesting schedule or a 4 month
Yeah,
vesting schedule.
exactly. But yeah, I mean it's
It's
held up
just
really well. I actually caught the short here and then like round trip the
really
whole thing.
yeah. Well, at least you you know it's just difficult. Honestly, I think in all the years that I've traded crypto, I think this period for me. Um, you've really got to have your wits about you. You really have to be razor fucking sharp. I think in previous cycles you could have just held a shit or watch it go all the way up. Everything across the board collectively gets bid, and then there's a slow bleed down. In this cycle, I feel as though it's going to be very rotational from sector to sector. AI will catch a bid for several weeks, then RWAs, then something else, then gaming, then NFTs. It's fantastic if you're a trader who can hop from one narrative to the next to the next to the next. And the way you've got to track that is creating a watch list, just like like if you look at what Charlie's got, right? Um, and have each section one for AI. Put in a list of 10 AI coins in there, one for RWAs, put in a list of 10 RWA players, and just watch the performance, or maybe using a tool like Charlie's built here, which I think is fantastic. It's the maybe you want to talk about this, Charlie, because I think this is a really fantastic observational way to track what's catching a bit of where momentum is.
Yeah, I mean it's spaghetti, and it when it's categorized, and it's much neater than just looking at this and having to know what each project is and what it does and what sector it fits in. And like with this, you can see that obviously memes are pretty strong today compared to everything else. And by strong, they've gone down the least. So it's kind of like if you're looking for a reversal, what do you want to get long on? Well, it's probably memes. So when you're looking for that reversion, what's the detail behind it, how are they made up, etc., etc. Can kind of go over here, look at the details to what makes up those indexes and their performance against BTC. Look at it on a higher time frame, like weekly time frame, etc., and see that basically this week, memes have been the only thing to really outperform BTC. And it's just a very sort of simple way to look at those baskets and just um, do what I did mentally for years by looking at this and going, oh look, all the memes are doing this. Actually quantify it a little bit more. But yeah, you're right. Like if you're doing it, if you're trying to invest in lots of different projects over lots of different narratives, it does feel like it's got a lot harder. And I think now the AI narrative is done. I'm not clear on what the next narrative will be. I think we'll just oscillate between things. I think RWA is probably the one that has had the weakest run in relation to its potential, I think. And I think that's probably the one that, if it does take off, will absolutely fly and offer the most opportunity for me on the existing baskets, or social fi if it's done right. But
Yeah.
I think both of them are high potential, but I don't want to massively allocate into either at this point.
I think having said that, I think Under has performed relatively well in terms of recency against other altcoins. It's holding up fairly well. Not saying that it can't go lower, it probably could go lower, but I think when you look at how it's rallied from 20 cents to its current position, it's still up 3.5x, right?
Yeah, yeah.
2.5. Yeah, it looks a bit dreadful up here. You know, it could retrace lower down, but I think that's what you want to identify altcoins that have held up reasonably well, whilst many other altcoins have literally bled away back down to their prices from the yearly open level. So
Yeah,
yes,
100%.
it's a fascinating. I mean, what we've seen so far in the market has not surprised me. I've been advocating since middle of March, end of March, that I think there's a risk in the markets, and clearly that risk has occurred where we've seen altcoins bleed lower. I still think we are in a elongated corrective phase in the markets, especially in altcoins. Look, it's only, I think the peak of the market in altcoins is around about mid March. It's now the middle of May. That's 2 months of corrective price action. Depends which altcoins you look at. Others are back at their initial yearly lows, if not lower. So I think we're just gonna see a continued phase of just boring price action, slow continuous grind. Maybe many altcoins continue bleeding lower down. But I'm really keeping a close eye on total two and total three. I like the Solana chart, and I really like those levels at $110, 120. And I think if we were to get another tap of those levels, um, I may take a punt on long in that, because I think you've then got a clear invalidation. It's the third tap of a level. If it's going to go, it's got to go from that level for the third time. Um, you've got a very clear invalidation. So the question I'm asking myself now is: are we going to get a higher low, or are we going to tap the lows for a triple tap at the lows, range lows kind of thing, and then take off back to from 120, 130 back to $200. If we break down, then you just got to entertain that the fact that we're likely to range between 110 to around about the $80 level, which, you know, potentially one could become a buy around about the 80, $85 level if 110s doesn't hold. So there's two levels that stand out for me on this chart as a buyer. And like I said, the way I played this is I made it evidently clear since March. I talked about the fact that I don't think this is the time to buy spot and hold altcoins in the market, because you're probably going to be frustrated with the lack of continuation. However, this is one of the best, well, prime trading conditions for those who like to play rotational trades, ranges, and Solana has been beautiful for that in the sense of trading from that 110, 120 level to 150. It's gave some very good swing opportunities there in terms of its relevant price time, the time frame, I should say. And now this next move down, I'm thinking that maybe this next significant move down, whether it's a higher low, whether it's an equal low, whether the level holds. Again, I'm looking at that 110, 120 level as a potential area to maybe pick up a spot now that we've gone through this corrective phase for nearly 2 months, possibly 3 months of consolidation. And then we may see continuation higher. If not, then look for the next level lower down. And that's it, really. Manage your risk.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, for me personally, I think there's so much opportunity the deeper we go, because it is cyclical, and now is not the time to be like balls deep risk on for me personally. But I've always loved your approach of like the deeper it goes, like the bigger the discount. Like just think
Yeah.
of it when it comes back up, and how hard it can rally, and actually like mark out your levels, think about your buying opportunities, because you just reeled that plan off the top of your head, and you're like, you've clearly thought it through. This is where I'm
Yeah, yeah.
looking. This is what I'm looking for as a reaction. This is what I want to see. This is how I'm going to trade it if that happens. And like I've always thought, like why do, or at least when I started, why are we all drawing all these arrows? Could go up, could go down, could go sideways, like all this crap. It's like no. This is the behavior I want to see. Basically, a strong V reversal at this level because it indicates demand, and my
Yeah, yeah.
my trigger is that, and my invalidation is basically under there somewhere, and I'm aiming for this. And then you've got a trade setup, and you've got an execution method, you've got all of it. You've got it all wound up into one nicely little bundled thing of this is the trade that I'm going to take when it or if it occurs.
If it occurs, or else this
Yeah,
setup. So that's essentially it for me. When I look at this, if I was just somebody who trades spot, would I be interested in Solana at this level? Not really. I may miss a trade, fine. There's always another trade. But for me, it's like, okay, I want to do business down at that 120, 110 level. If that doesn't hold, then I have to get out the trade. I wait for a confirmation of a signal to step back in, or I'm buying lower down again. And for me, that's just the approach, because I do believe that this will have, well, I'd like to think, again, I believe that hopefully heading into the second half of the year, we will see a continuation in global liquidity and US liquidity, which will help push markets even higher heading in towards the year end. So that's kind of my base case. The worst case scenario is if obviously for whatever reason there's geopolitical risk, there's market risk, something goes to shit, then you just have to be fairly well prepped to handle those scenarios. But base case for me is I'm looking to become a buyer again, positioning into altcoins with the view that we should see some decent price action in Q3, Q4. Would you like to bring up Total 2 and Total 3? I think Total 2 is really interesting. This is one that I feel I've played. Well, you can't trade Total 2, but it's one that I lean heavily upon to understand the market dynamics, how I'm looking to play altcoins. And again, this is something that I've covered in extensive detail since mid-March. Again, advise of caution at the highs in March. That I think there's a real possibility that we could see some downside risk. We've got that downside risk. I'm now leaning towards, price consolidating, which it has been consolidating within this range between April to May. Yeah, I'm looking at these lows here, just slightly lower down for me, if I'm honest with you, Charlie. I probably include the wicks of April 2022. And that essentially, yeah, that more or less defines my range for me. That when you drop onto this chart on the daily time frame, it's kind of the I want to see consolidation at those lows, but the low to hold.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I think that for me is going to be the flipping point where I think, all right, now's a really good time to start getting into these altcoins again. And the way I try to time these moves again so basically the core of my system is basically supply and demand trading with the use of mechanical oscillators for timing some of these moves. Now, I don't know if you can bring up the stock RSI, but I think the stock is really an underrated indicator, especially those who know how to use it quite effectively. And when you look at the weekly stock, if you just start off in the weekly first, it's at the lows again, right? This is exactly what I wanted to see. Now, when price was at the highs in March, what gave me concern was the fact that the stock was at the highs again. And, we were into a high time frame level of resistance supply zone. Now we've oscillated towards the lows. This could be down here for another several weeks. It kind of aligns really nicely that perhaps middle of May, end of May, early June are the buying opportunities in terms of capital efficiency. Now, if you drop down onto the 3-day chart, you'll see that that's pretty much bottomed out. The oscillator is at the lows. You've also got your awesome oscillator there. That's kind of just dropped into negative territory. I believe the one above is the RSI. Is that hovering at the 50 level?
That's right.
It's
up and around 50.
So as a buyer, these are the types of price action and price semantics and oscillators. In terms of where the oscillators are, that's what I'd want to see. Now, if you drop into the daily, this is where, again, if you look at the daily, it's not screaming out a buy for me. If you look at the RSI, it's been hovering under 50 for quite a few weeks. That's not indicative of a bullish market. That's indicative of a market that's likely to trend down into a corrective phase. If you look at the daily stock RSI, that still has got room to go lower down. And I think from a timing point of view, if that does oscillate to the lows and price continues to sell off, then you've really got to pay close attention to that 800 to $900 billion level on Total 2. And hopefully, once that lines up, it should hopefully line up with some of the other alts that you're prospectively looking to buy, or certainly the ones that I'm looking to buy. That's kind of how I try to time the market when I'm playing altcoins. But we'll have to see. Like I said, talk is cheap. You've got to put the trade on, and really, it's about understanding what the trigger point is. And for now, I don't really have any clear trigger points in terms of buying or stepping into the market just yet. But very excited about the potential prospect of buying slightly lower down in the belief that this hopefully is a corrective move. If it isn't, manage your risk, cut the trade, and wait for another setup.
Yeah, move on. So what do you think people should be doing in this kind of time? If
Join
there's...
Paragon. Join Paragon and learn how to trade, basically, because nobody else is going to spoon feed you, essentially. But no, in all honesty, I think this is probably the ideal environment to think about what levels are you looking to buy, which narratives are you wanting to play, which projects do you like, which have pulled back, or projects that have, in my opinion, projects that have recently listed on exchanges. Make a list of those projects that have probably listed on Bybit, on Binance, and do a bit of due diligence and find out, if you believe they've got potential to perform well in the second half of the year. And I think you've just got to move slow. Ultimately, move slow in these market conditions. There's a time to put your foot down. There's a time to move slow, and it's a very, very slow environment out there right now. But it should give you time to position into a few plays if the conditions are right and the conditions set up. So move slow ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, like, I find it always really interesting in like these conditions that like 2 or 3 months ago, everyone was on Twitter every day asking questions every day. My DMs were flooded with questions of what's this, what's that, how what should I be doing, blah blah blah. And now in these calmer conditions, like people just get really placid and say, "Well, I'll come back when it's easy." It's like, well, if you put in some work now and you refine things, you look at what you did wrong in this period of time and how you could have capitalized on things better during that period. Like these are the great times in the markets where you just prepare for the next move. Now I don't know
Exactly.
if that's coming in like tomorrow or to your time frame of like later on in the year ever so slightly, or maybe like a wild Q4 or something.
Uh,
I've got no idea, but I've got very high conviction that at some point we're going to see another move in another wild move like this in crypto markets. Whether it's a week, a month, a year down the line, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure it's
yeah.
going to happen. I do not think the crypto market is topped at $1.7 trillion back here. I think this Ponzi goes on, um,
Mhm. Yeah.
but who knows?
You see this chart here again. I kind of use this as a benchmark of alt strength. Now you have to apply with a grain of salt. Like if you look at Pepe was a good trading opportunity, right? But I'm talking about collectively across the board in terms of the alt space. Now I know we've marked out these range lows here, but really there's a level below that really stands out to me, and it's a consolidation in November, December, January before price took off for a second leg higher. Yeah, that cluster there. I mean, look, again, this kind of lines up with the Solana idea, right? Either I believe Solana is going to present a good buying opportunity around about that 100, $120 level, or Solana could break down and go to that 80, $85 level. And it kind of lines up with this consolidation that we see here. So again, just looking at this chart, you you know what am I looking for ultimately? Ultimately, I'm looking for a trigger point, a clear invalidation, but also what gives me a lot of confidence is the shift in momentum, and that's using something like the trend scanner, which is the EMAs that I use, but Charlie has very kindly made open source for everybody to use, and it's free. So again, when you look at this, you really want to be trading with the momentum, not against it. Where you want to be accumulating is when the bands are essentially going sideways, or you see a shift of strength in price action where price can shift back above the bands, hold the level, and continue higher. That's the momentum that you want to be riding significantly higher. So for now, you can see what's capping price. It's probably going to be the same in Solana. That 154, 155 level has been capping Solana to the upside. So until we see a shift in the bands, I really don't see momentum turning around anytime soon. Soon being the next week or two. So, um, I'm still leaning towards the fact that we could see better buying opportunities lower down for a trade higher. So yeah, until that happens, we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's kind of my thought process, or I'll jump on board higher. Not really a
Yeah, yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Has anyone got any other questions? Or I think that's 3 minutes, 3 minutes left to go. But I think you've got a hard stop at 7, haven't you?
Um, I don't have any position in. I've not got any trades on. The only trade I've got on right
No, no,
now
no.
is
I meant
Ethereum.
time, mate.
Well, hard stop. I mean, whatever, really. To be honest. Sorry, my bad.
No, no, no. It's all
Well,
good,
I
mate.
was looking at my chart while you were asking me the question. But basically, look, I think the only position I've got on is Ethereum, which is
Yeah.
I've got a long one at 2,900, which again, it's yeah, like I said, it's just looking at this chart here. I'm thinking I might just better off quitting this position, and probably at the end of the stream, I might
Yeah.
just become the bottom for you guys. So if it goes higher, you can thank me afterwards.
It's one of those things. So I tweeted yesterday, I've deleted ETH and ETH BTC off my watch list. You're welcome.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I saw. You see, the thing is, this is a classic example, right? I may cut the trade here. The reason I'm cutting the trade, yeah, okay, it's that support, right? The reason I'm cutting the trade is because look, tomorrow's CPI. I was hoping for a better reaction. That reaction didn't come to fruition. All
Yeah.
right, what if I cut the trade here and it happens to be the bottom? No problem. I can always step back in from 2900, 2910, 2920. It's okay. It's fine. It's not a problem. What I wouldn't be happy with, not that it's ever going to happen, is just watching this break lower down. And I'm not doing anything about it. That's the key thing in this game. Again, is just keeping your losses very small and playing the probability. Don't try to predict, because if you try to predict, you'll get a lot of shit. If you try to call silly price levels far into the future, like I do with Matic going to 30 cents, you're going to piss people off, right? But at the end of the day, there's a fine line between taking the piss and actually being
Wait.
serious about your predictions. But don't predict. Just play the probabilities. And I want to look at this from a probabilistic point of view. It's not bad, but really, I want to see Ethereum get back above that 3,000 level to have conviction that all right, we could trade back up to 37, 3,800. For now, I'm just scratching around trying to find an entry. I'm happy to take a very, 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 very small loss, uh, in the belief that I'm either going to get in from lower down, or I can step back in from slightly higher up. It's not a problem.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you just said, like for me, that reaction into the zone is like, nah,
It's
that's
shite.
the fact
Yeah,
that
it's
it
shite.
didn't just do this or it even just show some form of strength, like that's not for me. But, everyone trades differently and all that, and that is the absolute beauty of this game. But hopefully me deleting it off my watch lists will send it. I can send some
Yeah.
tweets out shitting on it if you want, and then everyone will log it.
I mean, the prime setup for me here is just run all the stops below 2,800, get back above 29s, like give it a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
off shakeout. You know the reaccumulation wick off schematic that we see flying around,
Yeah, yeah.
where it really like jags under that
Yeah.
2,800 level, stays there for about a week or two, and then just rips back up. That's your trigger. That is a brilliant setup, in my opinion, than where price currently is. And if that plays out, then I've got conviction to go with more size with a clear invalidation level. Um, Whereas here, I'm just trying to get a scratch. I'm not really pushing any serious size into this current trade that I've got, because I was looking to build a position on the way up, and clearly it's on the way back down. So the chances are I'm probably going to cut it and I'll just wait. But if this scenario plays out, this is much better, more probabilistic that we will see price go to 3,800, and therefore I'll manage my position sizing to put more size behind the idea. So that's kind of how I think about position sizing as well. Is if the probabilities are fairly favorable, and I think this looks like a really great setup, then I'll probably push a lot more money and capital into the trade. But where price is right now, from a positional perspective, I'm not willing to push in a lot of size. Absolutely no chance. So
Yeah, no, that's fair, mate. I
makes a
mean,
lot of sense to me.
that's one of the things that I think differentiates, at least like has improved massively over my career, is sizing and when to size on and when to size off. Like, I'm sharing some trades at the moment, but they're not full size. They're not like extra size that I can occasionally do and deviate from, my normal specified sizes. On like max turbo risk on conditions, like the XRP news day being an example where I, sort of doubled my normal size. Actually being in tune with risk on, risk off in the markets, and when it's time to go hard and when is the time to sit back, research, chill, mark up some levels, set some alerts, develop some indicators, do stuff like that. Like that's saved me more money in this run, I think, than any other run, to be honest. But I've not been too heavy on the short side
No,
personally.
it's funny you say that. I've not been heavily shorting, whereas in 21, 22, I was heavily shorting. And again, because I believe that if you look at the high time frame picture, this is an uptrend versus the others, which were distribution breakdown. But look, I think there's one thing I'd like to ask you, Charlie, and I just want to maybe a final question to wrap up the stream as well. With these types of reaccumulation environments, um, are you looking for some sort of cascading liquidation event, one final, puke before price pushes out? Because how often do you see prices turn around from these slow grinds down into support? I mean, it has happened in the past. If you look at Bitcoin in the summer of 2021, where it just kept tagging that 30K level for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then it just went on a relentless tear to 67, 69K in November. Um, what's your thoughts on that? Would you like to see the spreads blown apart and liquidation events happen below this level to give you confidence to step in, or is that something you've thought about?
It's not really something I've thought about in the sense of I think we've been operating in a generally different regime than 2020, 2021. The classic liquidation cascade that, I don't know, seemingly happened every other week back then. Obviously, my memory of time is shite, but it felt very different back then, as in you would get probably, mm, well, we'll just say FTX, just running the books and running the stops of everybody and just like cascading it down and absolutely hammering it. I get more bullish, like actually just on simple shows of strength, which for me is if we reclaim this, I'd be quite happy to jump into each spot. Like, I'm not going to try and be super smart or massively outthink the market or say that I need a capitulation event to actually get bullish. No, we're downtrending, and if we don't get a big capitulation event, okay, but we start trending up again, fine, I can get on that. I'm always looking at divergences. I'm always trying to find some decent divs that are actually actionable, which is why people will see me sort of flick through multiple time frames. Like here, momentum starting to diverge a bit, but with RSI, it's not particularly great. So I'm always like acutely aware of what momentum is doing. But I don't need the capitulation event to get massively bullish.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we are in an uptrend. We have been for the best part of a year and a half on a higher time frame basis. I think we do continue at some point. If we get that 4 hour capitulation essentially where we just sell off and massively V reverse, that's why I like spaghetti, because spaghetti tells you, and you can see as soon as this starts basically going vertical both to the downside and then to the upside, like that to me is the best risk on signal you can possibly get.
yeah.
So I don't care if it's a 5% dump, a 10%, a 50% capitulation, whatever it might be. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see those reactions on a very low time frame, and that will get me super bullish. If I catch some of that rotation, amazing. If I don't catch it, then I've got lots of high time frame charts marked out, ready and waiting to kind of load up.
Makes
How about
total
you?
sense. Yeah. No, it's for me. I'm open to both scenarios. Like I said, I think if you do see a cascading liquidation from around about the 28s to 26s, I think you can see a lot of doom and fear, like we saw back in March. Remember, I think it was what was it, early April when GCR came out and tweeted, and people were shitting themselves. I think they're the best buying opportunities from a trading perspective.
Yeah.
If we see one of those, then great. I'll certainly be looking to buy altcoins from a trading perspective. But yeah, if price happens to grind into that Solana 110 level, total two grinds into those lows we marked out, and it can't break down, then I probably will start chipping into accumulation again of said altcoins, like Bitcoin layer twos, RWAs. It's probably two areas that I don't have any exposure to right now. I feel I've got some meme coins. I'm not really going to touch meme coins. I'm just looking for a low leverage futures play, maybe Doge. I wouldn't mind jumping back into Doge again. I don't have any position. I traded from I think at 12 cents to 15. That was enough for me. It's back
Yeah,
at
yeah.
14. So
Yeah, no, Doge has been one where I got in like back down here with the group, and I basically took a load off up here because momentum started to just die off general
that's right.
market, and
Yeah.
it was quite clear across the autumn oscillator. Took some off up here, and I've been waiting to jump back on board with this like high time frame pivot, but we've just not had that risk on move yet. But managing my exposure, managing my risk meant I didn't actually take that massive like whatever it was, 50% drawdown from the highs. Like it's far easier to just take some off the table, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Agreed. If you look at
actually
Myro, if you just go to seconds,
yeah 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 yeah
um, not so much Myro itself, but I really love the cyclical nature of Myro. And if you look at this price action on the chart now, maybe you can just hop onto the daily. Um, the daily. If you just if you look at that, you've got like price rallies into peak, sells off, consolidates at the lows, rallies higher, sells off. This to me, is this a form of consolidation now? And if it is, I'd like to see this range hold. It's happened. This is probably going to be the third occurrence that it's done this now, because and this is the beauty of this market. It's very different to anything that I've seen previously. Previously, it'd just be like sideways for like 2 years, and price just relentlessly goes up.
Yeah.
This gives you so many opportunities to trade the market both ways, right? Um, there's everything. There's something in this market for those who want to long, and there's something in this for those who want to short to the downside after a fairly extensive move to the high. So again, I'm looking for a third rally now in the space of 2024. If you look at January of the yearly open, price rallied from, I think, what was it, pennies to 20 cents, and then again it consolidated, rallied in March from 20 cents to 40, 50 cents, and now it's consolidating again at these lows here. So is the next leg higher going to go to 50, 60 cents? I'd like to think so. I just don't know where the lows are in, or whether they're in, or whether we could tag those lows at 12 cents again. I know you've drawn kind of like a bit of a, what is it called again? Ascending triangle, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
But this could also be a range, right? If you look at that 10, 11, 12 cents range at the lows here, where that swing lows, maybe we come back somewhere in that zone. Maybe that's going to give you the long opportunity. I don't know. I don't know. I think just as a trader, you have to be prepared. I don't have a magic ball. Neither do you.
No,
Nobody
no.
does.
But this is what I mean. Like, so when we were talking about memes earlier and like meme cycles, like the risk reward of some of these in terms of how they actually played out, which is obviously a massive benefit of hindsight,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
is is incredible. You can get like a
It
real
is. Yeah.
nice invalidation on most of these trades, and they are running for massive multiples, and that's why I like memes. That's why even like down here, I think I took a long down here on Myro actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't think
think
I
we all
caught
did.
all of
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like you say, like if it runs again, even if it's kind of that diminishing returns run, then it's probably got like a decent well,
It's
decent
a
X
decent
in it at
trade.
least. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is mad, and that's why I like memes, and that's why a lot of this spaghetti, which this is great. This is great on like the 1 second chart. This takes obviously a little bit longer to load, but like yeah, when you catch a good rotation on something like Myro, so I think I started the stream by saying, I caught a Pepe rotation today. Just a rotation, not a massive swing long, nothing like that. Nothing, not trying to hold it forever and a day, but literally just long down here and just rode it up and like sold up here somewhere. So like got stopped out. I held it through this drawdown because I'm a bit of a psychopath,
Mm.
but like 13% rotations in a day, I think I actually only got about 11% of it or 10% of it, something like
Yeah.
that. But that kind of rotation in a day, like that's why I love these markets, man. That's why I
Yeah.
can't step away from them. I keep saying I'm gonna
Yeah.
retire.
No,
But
honestly, I'm really excited about the market. Super fucking excited. One of my biggest strengths is just being patient for a trading setup, and when to floor it. Look at OP. OP, I think is very similar to Myro in its cyclical nature. Um, Again, it's just another one that oscillates, rallies, bleeds, consolidate, rips higher, bleeds, consolidates, and probably rips higher for a third time, fourth time. Can you see how each cycle? And this is where if you look at where OP it was in November 2023, it kind of reminds me where Myro may be right now, and then you're looking for that continuation higher to the third peak, and maybe that's one that's why I say, like, if we get that in Q3, Q4, I will be taking profits, because I think these rips up to the upside only last for like 2, 3 months at best before the top's in.
yeah, and
Um,
it's an interesting start as well, Topi. I mean, it's obviously Binance listing, but like literally
Sells off.
dumps off
Yeah.
listing, and then you've got this reaccumulation down here, or this accumulation, I should say. It's not reaccumulation, judging by this chart. And then when it
Correct.
breaks that range, it just fucking goes. And a lot of
It
them, like
does.
LDO, Aptos, they all kind of had that, you know, massive
Mm.
pump, and then literally straight back to the range. Like that's a common thing on new launches. So I get why you're looking at things like W, Tensor, etc.,
Correct.
etc., because it's
Because
just so
they
good.
do. They're generally going to take out the highs and really rip higher. I'll tell you which other one I like, not because of the project, but just because of the chart. Arbitrum. If you look at what Arbitrum done, it's literally back at its lows from October, November. So again, I think at some point this will get a run. Again, I'm
Oh
not an
yeah.
Arbitrum fanboy, but if you look at those range lows around about 70 cents, if it can tag there, I'll be interested. I think okay, this could be a decent cyclical play back to the range highs. 70 cents, you're targeting $2.20, $2.30. That's a nice 2-3x for one trade. Spot position, no leverage, maybe 2x leverage if you want to dabble. I mean, obviously position size is what matters, not your leverage. But these are the type of players that you should be excited about. I'm not saying go out there and wait for Arbitrum. I'm just saying these are some of the players that I've identified that I will consider trading. Um, so I think there's some great opportunities. I really like W. I think W could do really well. I hope it bleeds lower down. I hope W goes to 30. Well, I hope it goes to bloody zero because I'd love to buy it at zero, but chances are it probably won't. So something like W, I think it's at 52 cents.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you look at if you look at that wick there, I mean, could it trade back up to $2? Maybe it probably could. But then I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'd love to pick this up at 40 cents, even better at 30 cents, 20 cents, absolute buy. Because then the market cap, I think, is around about 300 million market cap. I think this could easily go back to a $2-3 billion market cap. So it could give me 10x from 20 cents. Current levels, all right, 50 cents. I'm not sure what the market cap is. I'm just, but I'm still thinking, okay, back to $2. That's a nice 3-4x from here. But you know, lower down 30-40 cents, I would definitely be scaling in. But even now, look, like I said, waiting for prices at 30-40 cents. I'm not saying it's going to get there. That's just me being greedy. If price gives me a reason to step into the trade here, I'll step into the trade here tomorrow if I have to, and look for 70, 80, 90, $1 again. Ethereum is another one which has performed relatively well, but I'd love to see the unlock schedule for Ethereum. Yeah, ENA.
Yeah, I must admit this one missed me. Whereas I know
Yeah,
Doc was longing it throughout this whole period, whereas I completely
yeah.
missed it, to be honest with you.
I caught it in day one in the Paragon and said, yep, 70 cents and might just long some. Got lucky with it. Closed it at 90 cents and went to flipping $1.50, but there you go. But you look at this, this is again going through that. It's had a lot of hype. It's had that initial listing pump, right, to $1.50. Now, anybody who's been trying to buy this from a spot position, well, good luck because you're probably underwater now. And the chances are, I think this could it continue going lower down? Yeah, but you're really looking for those bottoming structures. And again, I point out, go study Arbitrum, Sui, Say, Aptos when they first got listed and the structures they print before price absolutely takes off. And these are going to be some of the best opportunities I feel over the next 6 months. Or I'm hoping they're going to be some of the best opportunities. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, that's
NG,
fair.
NGL is another one. There's just so many to choose from.
Yeah,
Saga who looks horrific. SAGA. If you just type in Saga USDT.
I think that's like part of your point, isn't it? It's become a lot more difficult to actually select the right coin, whereas
Correct.
it feels like, certainly from my experience, in 2017 there wasn't that much. In 2021 there was a fair bit, but you could easily keep up with it. And now there's what 100,000 coins launching a day on Solana, probably, or something stupid like that. I
It's
imagine they've
just
just got
ridiculous.
AI churning them out and just like going through every name in the dictionary with like a one sol liquidity, like the God knows, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just but again, from a structural point of view, like these type of structures really excite me because you're trying to time the market here. You're trying to time the lows, and you're waiting for that shift in momentum. And again, it's not rocket science. It's just a simple strategy, such as a bunch of moving averages or what's that fucking indicator called, Charlie, where you've got like 7 bands and you've got the green red um grid like structure.
the what?
Looks like a bloody fishing net.
The
What's it
green red
called?
grid light structure, not like KCBs or anything like that.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
I think
you're talking about. I
I
know what
think
you're talking about.
Altcoin Psycho uses it. Yeah,
You're
the
talking
guppy.
about
Yeah,
this
yep, that's right, the
super
guppy.
guppy,
So yeah,
yeah, which is
see,
just EMAs.
yeah, basically it's just a bunch of VMAs. So you're really waiting for the shift on the lower time frames. to cascade into the higher time frame. So once you see that compression on the daily and the 3 day, and the lower time frames are starting to print green, or let's just say a bullish crossover, then hopefully that's a slowdown in selling. That's a lack of sellers in the market where you should see a bottom formation, a rounded bottom formation, and eventually you want to be looking to ride the momentum back up. So again, they're my favorite plays, and I think there were some of my best trades in 2021. Exchange listings that bled, and then you just look to wait for the bottom and just ride them significantly higher. And when you can do, and when you think about compounding it, if you can catch one play and print a 5x and then roll it into the next trade and to the next trade, it really is a case of, rotating from one setup to the next. And I think that's the beauty of this current market. Those opportunities, I think, will be out there at some point later this year, if not next year, or whatever it is. But there's going to be a great opportunity to compound. And I prefer that as opposed to everything running collectively across the board.
Yeah, 100%, and just have a few coins to focus on.
Right.
It's why I try and get into the swing of particular coins, and like I prefer times when you're just trading one asset for a period of time. It'll sound weird, but you kind of get into the flow of it. So there was a time like must be 2021 where I traded Ape every day. I traded LDO every day for like 2 weeks. I traded CHZ every day for like 2 or 3 weeks, although that was a bit of a bastard because liquidity was piss poor. I've done it with quite a few coins where I just kind of wake up and like play that coin intraday, and it's far easier, I think, to just sort of play one market or focus on a couple of spot bags, or try and keep up with a section. Jack of all trades, master of none, all that kind of ancient wisdom. But
You're
yeah,
right. I'll give you an example of three that I played extremely well, and they gave me so much time to position. One ran, the other two did jack shit. Then the second one ran, made some money on there, rotated into the third one, and it was Pith in this order: Pith, PYTH. Then it was Jup, and then it was Juto. And I was just amazed, like, wow, look at the time I've got between trading Pith, which rallies to new all-time highs. Juto sat on its ass. Jupiter sat on his ass. I get into Jupiter and Juto, wait for one to show strength, ride that momentum. Once Jupiter finished its run, went into Juto, and three fantastic trading setups. And when you think about compounding, you just gotta really take advantage of those trading environments when they occur.
yeah, 100%. I mean, we had it even at the start of like 2023. So I had to think about that then. What with LDO, which just absolutely ripped, and everyone was like, "Oh, we're so late to LDO." It was like, no, this is the only coin move, and just long it, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then Aptos basically followed it and did the same. And it's like there's almost always something in this market that's moving if you're willing to put the time and effort in to find it. Like even JTO now actually looks pretty decent in terms of it's still
It's
an
held up.
uptrend.
Yeah,
Like, it's held up pretty
held really
well.
well. See,
Um,
that's the difference. I'm looking at Jita now. Am I interested in buying it? No, not really, because I'd much rather buy shit that's absolutely smashed and could run up like Jita ran up from the yearly open at $1.50, $1.30, wherever it was, to $5. So they're the types of structures now that I'm looking for, the newly listed coins that sell off some form of consolidation at the lows, and then you can start positioning into those plays, hoping that they can rally in Q3 or Q4.
yeah, no, that's fair, man. I mean, Near's bizarrely on my radar because it's actually held up quite nicely lately, and then it's
Yeah,
obviously
it
I
has, yeah.
tweeted it literally at the high today. Tweeted at the
Brilliant.
intraday high, perfect. Um,
Fantastic.
but like structurally, it just looks great. And I don't like Near as a project necessarily, but the market seems to like it, so I can send my opinion out the window. Do you know what I mean? And if I can just long it
Yeah,
next
exactly.
time it clears 730 and shows a bit of relative strength on spaghetti, well then fuck it, I'll make some money out of it. Like,
Well, that's it. That's it, essentially. And again, a lot of these plays, I'm not holding these as long-term investments.
yeah,
It's just good trade setup, bring some money out of it onto the next play. No emotions involved
yeah,
in any of this shit. If it's a good project, and the market's bullish, then I'll say, look, I think this project could do well in these conditions, but in a bear market, everything's going to go to shit. So that's just the harsh reality.
Yeah, true. It's all going to go Pete on. I think these prices often warrant like the occasional punt on the odd low cap and stuff like that, and that's why I still gamble in that space, to be honest. Having done Rune from like I don't know whatever my average was, like something ridiculous, it was in the cents as opposed to like the $20 it reached in 2021. Like I've seen the power of small amounts being put into low cap projects, multiplying. So I still like that space, but
Yeah.
there's so many like rugs and dodgy projects these days that just disappear after a few days or weeks, and yeah, it's the space is definitely getting a lot more like convoluted and
It is,
filled
yeah.
with shite. So it is.
Yeah. No, my friend got rugged the other day. I think he bought some shit coin, and I think he put like an ETH into it, unfortunately, and it's not his fault. It's fairly new to the space, but the developer filtered out contracts. The only contracts that could sell was the ones that were listed in the smart contracts. So you're forced to fucking buy it, and you can't sell it. You couldn't do anything with it, and
Yeah,
obviously liquidity got pulled, and the token got dumped 48 hours later. So it's
classic.
unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate that shit's going to continue to happen. So you
Yeah,
just got
classic honeypot.
yeah,
Lovely.
yeah,
Oh look, TRB. Speaking of honeypots, lovely market manipulation. It's interesting though the way that you approach markets and I approach them in the sense of they're quite different. So like you'll see like typically ranges and be like looking for the kind of slow sell off and then
yeah.
like something like that. And I'm happy to
That's
take
right.
that. But I'd much rather. But I'm like you'll do more business here and I do
Correct.
more business here because I'm
Yeah,
looking for the strength and I'm like
yeah.
happy to be the breakout that I want to see basically and catch the next leg. Yeah, I mean, I love it because like trading's like an art form, right? And everyone
It
comes to
is. It
their
is. Yeah.
conclusions in different ways. Like I prefer taking stuff like this on spot, and I will always be in the books when something looks a bit a bit well range and something like this. And then if you can
Yeah.
show me
Yeah.
some low time frame relative strength in there, like you can guarantee I'll be in there for something like this
No,
or a round trip.
you've hit the nail on the head, Charlie. There with what you've just said. For me, what you've just described is exactly pretty much how I prefer to trade. And the reason is the beauty of this market is that to be successful, you only need one really profitable strategy, and then you have to recognize in which market environment is your strategy profitable. The issue is not the strat. It's not, the issue is never the strategy, right? When you find a good strategy and you've gone on a purple patch for 2 3 months, and then you find 6 months later, oh, this is fucking shit. It doesn't work for me anymore. The issue is not the strategy. The issue is the individual because you're probably using it in the wrong contextual environment. So you have to understand the environment that you're in to apply a profitable trading strategy that you've defined. And that's the key with trading styles, because what I do is my type of style wouldn't work as well in a trending market. Yours in a trending market would you would definitely outperform me in a trend momentum on the way up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I mean. It's like when I'm looking at my P&L, which we were sort of talking about earlier, in terms of what market environment do I absolutely smash it in, it's like easy mode uptrend. Yeah, get it. But knowing that in these conditions, I can catch some intraday moves that are nice, like Pepe earlier.
Yeah,
But I'm not gonna be taking a balance and turning it into a retirement balance overnight, like in these conditions, right? Whereas
yeah.
when we're trending, I can give it a damn good go, but in these conditions, I just need to take my foot off the gas and just take the obvious like A plus setups.
Yeah. This looks like the market maker sell model. You can get
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It actually does.
okay. Who's this DWF market maker sell
Yeah,
model?
DWF Special. I was in here somewhere. I
Jeez.
can't
Yeah,
remember
you
which
nailed this,
one.
didn't you? Yeah, you nailed
Yeah,
this really
I
well.
was late. I didn't get this one. I actually tweeted about it down here, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" It's like 99%
Was this was
down from
this
the highs.
was this one of those fucking insane funding plays again?
I'm not sure if
But
funding was wild. Actually, I didn't even check. I don't think it was. I don't think it
yeah,
was particularly mad, but I mean, it is just. I tweeted like, yeah, it went down like 99% or something from this week. It's absolute
Yeah,
92%.
brutal.
Absolute mental, isn't it? The joys of
Yeah.
crypto, and then it
The joy,
rallies.
the joys of crypto and fucking somebody at Binance getting fucking sacked for whistleblowing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, look, mate, we all know it happens.
Only fucking crypto.
Yeah, we all know it happens. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Mum's the word.
Oh dear, that was just hilarious. Yeah, he
Oh, mate, it's
sucks.
mental, isn't it? Yeah, he's gone. Do you pay any attention? Last question. Do you pay any attention
Yeah.
to this in terms of like
What?
total USD and BUSD market caps and stuff? Like
Um,
total stablecoin market caps? Because this to me is
do you know what?
like chips in the
Do you,
casino.
it's interesting because I think I'm gonna have to backtest this, but I think there could be a correlation between stablecoin and US and global liquidity because the QRA happened in October, right? And if you look at global liquidity and US liquidity, it all shifted, it all ripped higher from
Yeah.
October, November time. And it's just, is it a coincidence that stablecoin issuance also increased? And if there is a coincidence, if it is a coincidence or not, what is it that's causing stablecoin issuance? Is it some macro factor out there with an increase of US and global liquidity, which obviously, like I said, crypto is very sensitive to liquidity. So it's something that I'd love to dig deeper into, or read if anybody's research to see who's written what about this particular nuance, if there is a nuance to it. But it's certainly fascinating for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
How do you use this? Do you use this to gauge strength in the crypto markets?
Yeah, like literally just as a sort of proxy of should I be balls deep? Should I be worried? Do I have high time frame confidence that like my spot bags should do reasonably well? And basically, when we broke this downtrend like way back in October November time, like I was talking about it on stream before, that the way I see
Yeah.
it in simple terms, this is chips leaving the casino. This is chips coming back into the casino. Now what's happening? This is like the worst performance we've seen in terms of momentum. We're
Mm.
starting to basically lose that extreme on the RSI. Like obviously RSI and also oscillator and all that are just reflections of price. In this case, it's market cap. But the fact that we have started to at least range, that correlates with Bitcoin and what's going on. But if we start losing
Correct.
that, it's like, right, well, I'm then just going to say to myself, look, no more spot bags until this starts actually going into an uptrend. Simple as that.
Would you not add the FDUSD to this as well?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's just a simple thought process in terms of how can I gauge rough total market liquidity in terms of stablecoins.
Yeah, yeah. It's certainly a great visualization of stable coins. It really is. Yeah.
And it's simple, which I like.
Mm. No, it is. It's very. It looks simple and very effective, actually. Looking at
Yeah.
it from this perspective.
But yeah, mate,
Yeah. Hopefully the audience have enjoyed today's stream and
yeah, thank you everyone for turning up, and thank you for XO, of course, for honouring us with his presence. I know you've not been doing your own
yeah.
streams as much lately, and the market's
I,
been.
I I've been busy in real life. I've got a few private projects which
Ooh,
outside of outside of the crypto space, obviously, which I'm trying to get completed, which has really taken up a lot of my time. So, yeah,
ooh,
look forward to
nice.
streaming. Look forward to streaming once I get more time. Just can't seem to commit to anything for now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, no ETA for your grand return.
I mean, if the market takes off in Q4, I'd rather just fuck off altogether. But I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Probably June time. I'll probably start picking up some streams again.
Oh,
More
awesome, mate.
educational. And it'll probably be good to get you on my stream as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that'd
actually,
be good, mate.
since you've covered up some of the new indicators in Paragon, I'd love to play around with them. I'm probably gonna have to grab a bunch of them off you and seeing what you've churned up in terms of code, and I know you're working on a range indicator as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, it didn't
Yeah.
technically get 1,000 likes, so.
Oh shit. Yeah, we'll see. We'll
Although
fix
the,
that.
the the meme that I stole off Leowin did.
Yeah. But no, I look forward to it. I think some of the tools that you're coming out with are really, really good. So I'd love to play
Yeah,
around with
cheers,
them
mate.
when it comes.
We got a load more coming out as well. We're literally revamping the indicator suite, and I need to pull my finger out and republish them all. But it's a
Yeah,
painful
yeah.
process of trading view. But yeah, this for me is the time where you build. It's the time where you make your life easier for when the markets do come back. Like I say, whether that's weeks, months, days, who knows. But yeah, cheers for everything,
Yeah.
mate. Thank you for
No,
being
thank
here.
you.
And
Pleasure.
cheers everyone in the audience for being here as well. And all love you and leave you. Au revoir.